what a CEO is all about. This is the podcast for she's only. We share our stories of leadership to inspire you. So welcome to the She Sleeps, the podcast for she's only. A woman in leadership. So come on, CEO, you should join the show. The She Sleeps podcast with Jodi Hood.
Hello, 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 and welcome to She Suite's podcast with your host, Jodi Hood. This is a place where She Suite executives share and compare unfiltered realities that our male counterparts will never face. We laugh, we cry, we thrive, we survive. Now, today's topic is one that I am so happy to go over and to speak to you about today because I am an introvert. That's right. I know it's hard to believe, but I am an introvert. And I just happened to be reading an article or a post on LinkedIn by Matt Gray. And it says, he says, I just read a story or a study that I just can't stop thinking about. And the study says introverts are more effective leaders according to Harvard. I tell you, I started jumping up for joy because I said, finally somebody gets me. And finally someone has confirmed what I already knew. Introverts rule. That's right. We rule the world. So I said, that's an excellent podcast topic. So this is going to be 3 parts because it's just way too much. I got to delve into this deep. So today we're just going to talk about myths. What people and how people perceive introverts. And you're going to be surprised. It's not what you think. And the next part, we're going to talk about job interview tips because believe it or not, the interview process is a process where introverts struggle a lot. And we'll tell you the reasons why, and we'll give a few reasons or a few strategies on how you can overcome those fears and the anxiety that is caused by the interview process for introverts. And lastly, part 3, I am going to introduce you to some of the most famous and successful introverts on the planet. And honey, let me tell you, you are probably not going to be surprised because one thing about introverts, we are a little different. We think differently, but honey, all of that different thinking and introversion and being extremely observant, it pays off. I'm telling you in this suite, according to Harvard, introverts are some of the best leaders. Now let's jump on in. Let's just talk about 10 myths about we introverts. Now the first one is introverts don't like to talk. Yeah, because automatically you say, oh, they're quiet, they don't like to talk. But that's not true. We just don't talk unless we have something to say. And introverts, as a rule, hate small talk. To get an introvert talking, start talking about something they're interested in. And honey, I guarantee you, we won't shut up for days. Now, here's myth number 2. Introverts are shy. Not true. Shyness has nothing to do with being an introvert. No. And we are not necessarily afraid of people. What we need is a reason to interact. We don't just interact for the sake of interacting. So if you really want to talk to an introvert, just start talking. Don't worry about being polite. Myth number 3. Introverts are rude. And I'm telling you, my sister, Jewel, is the total opposite from me. She's the total opposite of me. she's an extrovert. And a lot of times I get on her nerves because sometimes we're in a social setting. I may not necessarily want to talk. I'm like, what's wrong with you? You have to work the room. And sometimes she will accuse me of being rude. But let me tell you something. For introverts, we don't always see a reason for beating around the bush or social pleasantries. No, we want everyone to just be real and be honest. Now, unfortunately, this is not always acceptable in social settings. So sometimes as introverts, we feel a lot of pressure to fit in, which is exhausting. I'm telling you, sometimes in social settings, when I come home, I am beat. Now, myth number 4, introverts don't just like people. That's not true. We like people. We intensely value friends, especially the friends we have. And we can count our close friends on one hand. This is true. But we like people. Now, if you are lucky enough to have an introvert to consider as your friend, honey, you have a loyal ally for life. Now, once you have earned the respect of being a person of substance, honey, you are in. It may sound a little arrogant, but it's true. Now, here's another myth. Introverts don't like to go out in public. Well, I don't know, because I really don't. But that's really nonsense. We just don't like to go out for public for as long. Okay, not a long time. Why? Because we like to avoid complications that are involved in all of these public activities. Yeah, we take in data and experiences very quickly. And as a result, we don't have to be there for a long time. We don't have to be there a long, long time just to get it. After we have scoped the situation and we know what the experience is, or we have experienced what we were supposed to experience, maybe we're ready to go home. Okay? We need to recharge. We really do. And a lot of times we need to process what has just happened. So let me tell you something. In fact, recharging is absolutely crucial for introverts. Yeah, baby, we need that time to process. Yep. I have been in situations where I even told people like, I'm not shallow. I have substance, but it just takes me a minute to process. Okay. Here's myth number 6. Introverts always want to be alone. Nope. We don't always want to be alone, but we are perfectly comfortable with our own thoughts. Introverts think a lot. I know I do. Sometimes I daydream and I like to have problems to work on, puzzles to solve. Alrighty. But, maybe we can get a little lonely if we don't have anyone to share our discoveries with, but we crave an authentic and sincere connection with one person at a time. Now, listen, these are generalizations and there's always exception to the rule. But for the most part, most of these myths are true. Now, here's myth number 7. And I've actually heard this. It's not nice, but I've heard it. You're kind of weird. Yep. People think that introverts are weird, but that's not true. I would categorize us as more like individualists, right? You know why? Because we don't follow the crowd. We prefer to be valued for our novel ways of thinking. We think for ourselves, and because of that, we don't always follow the norm. So that's why people sometimes say they're weird, right? But we don't make decisions based on popularity or what's trending. We are our own selves. Now, myth number 8, and I have 2 more to go. Introverts are aloof nerds. No, we're not nerds. We're not nerds. But we look inward. We pay close attention to our thoughts and our emotions. But it's not that we can't pay attention to what's going on around us. It's just that the inner world is so much more stimulating and rewarding to us. Myth number 9, introverts don't know how to relax and have fun. I like to have fun. Yeah, but let me tell you what my fun is. I like relaxing at home or in nature, not in public places. Unlike my sister, there is not a party or an event that she doesn't like. But I'm okay staying home, okay? Introverts are not thrill seekers. Oh, we don't need that adrenaline high. And honey, I'm going to tell you, this is true. If there's too much talking and noise going on, honey, we will shut down. That's right. You know why? Because our brains are too sensitive. Yes, that's right. To the neurotransmitter called, you know what it is, dopamine. Introverts and extroverts have different dominant neural pathways. Yeah, that's something you need to look up. And lastly, here's myth number 10. Introverts can just fix themselves and become extroverts. Well, firstly, I don't know why we would want to, but anyway, let me tell you this. Can you imagine a world without introverts? Okay, guess what? It would be a world without scientists, musicians, artists, poets, filmmakers, doctors, mathematicians, writers, and philosophers. That being said, there are still plenty of techniques an extrovert can learn in order to interact with us, the introverts. Yes. So, introverts cannot fix themselves, nor do we want to, but we deserve respect for our natural temperament and our contributions to the human race. And like I said, part 3, you're going to find out some dynamite introverts who have contributed great things to the human race. All right, now this is one fun fact. It was a study by Silverman in 1986, and he showed that the percentage of introverts increases with the IQ. So maybe there is something to that Harvard study. You might want to look it up. That says introverts are more effective leaders. All right, guys, I'm having so much fun with this. Cannot wait. Absolutely cannot wait until the next podcast when we get into part 2, talking about the interview process and why we are anxious. We kind of suffer anxiety. We may not do as well, but how some companies have missed some of the best and the brightest because they don't understand the introvert. I'm going to help you out. So make sure you join me for my next podcast. And in the meantime, ladies, keep walking the walk and talking the talk. That's right. And let me serve notice on you men in the C-suite. C-suite men. Guess what? The she-suites are coming at you. See you next time, folks.
C-suites, you better get ready for the she-suites. Coming at you with the she-suites. It's a podcast for G's only. C-suites, you better get ready for the she-suites. Coming at you with the she-suites. It's a podcast with Jodi Hood.